Hello, welcome to Mending Threads. This is your safe place and your stronghold for whole body wellness. We're a transformation series, health, mind, body, spirit. And we look forward to seeing what we're going to talk about today, which is a new me in 2023. And we have with us our own Dr. Floyd Atkins from the Center for Wellness and Healing to help us coin, determine, outline, and discuss and find out our new search for a new me in 2023. Dr. Floyd Atkins. Hello, how are
Good
you?
morning.
Good
Doing
morning.
fine today. How are you doing?
That's great. Well, I know you're off in a place where it looks like my partner and I are finally, my buddy and I are finally talking about moseying that way. Okay, then.
Good.
That's right. That's right. It looks good too. Okay, we'll let you know ahead of time. But thank you for being with us this morning, today, from the Center for Wellness and Healing. And I love the topic that we have, a new me in 2023. We're always talking about that, but it takes a lot of effort to not only have dreams, but to actually put it in place, to actually do it. So I wanted to look at your thoughts about a new me in 2023 from a wellness point of view, from health point of view. And I know mental health is involved in that for sure. Mhm. So
Absolutely.
what
Well,
would you
I
hmm can you hear me? I
am I
know we're
what?
delayed a little bit between the two of us. Yes.
Yes. What is your question?
My question is, what is the beginning when you look at a new me? You know how they say your mind takes you where you're supposed to go, or you start in the mind, your beliefs and things. But I do know that you can think certain things, but somehow something can keep you from being following your mind necessarily. But I want to see what you would say for us to begin with to start a new me in 2023.
Okay, that is an excellent question, and I have an excellent answer for it. I just had a conversation with a person about that recently. Uh, the first thing we have to do when even going into the new year or going into a new season or going into a new era in life, you want to assess where you've been and where you are. You look at where you've been and see the things that you liked or didn't like or things you need to change, and then you want to see actually where you are today. Am I moving in the direction of where I want to be, or am I moving in the direction where I came from? So am I going back or am I going forward? And so once you establish that, that's a good start. And but the word or the statement for me as far as the new year 2023 is to live by intention. And I tell people living by intention. That means that you have to really formulate a plan, have a guide, have an idea, and then you want to have something that you can execute. Because if you don't have a plan going forward, if you don't do it by intent, you end up not really getting anywhere. You've been the same place in 2023 as you were in 2020 or 2018. But you
Mm-hmm.
always want to say, look at where you are, look at what I've done, what are my goals, have an intention plan. Don't say, well, I'll see how it goes the first 3 months. I'll change my diet and see how it goes. But you have to go beyond just I'll change my diet. What am I going to eat? When am I going to eat? How am I going to eat? And really put a plan together. And so that's how you take the first steps in creating a new you for the new year.
Hmm. And we were just talking, I was just talking with the producer before you got on, and we were talking about emotions and
Yes.
how living in reaction to emotions can really take you off your plan, move you in a different direction, and maybe even distort what you're trying to do. You see, so I do know that chemically the body changed. I thought maybe you could kind of talk a little bit about stress and the things that we bring on ourselves that kind of get in the way of living by intentions, you know, if not handled in a certain manner.
Well, for me, the two biggest factors that's involved in it is really a physiological factor, which is what we're eating and how we take care of our bodies, And the second most important factor is our environment, or the environment we live in, what we have exposed ourselves to, or the people around us, the situations around us. So, so when you want to make those changes from a mental health perspective, I have to ask myself, what am I eating? What am I putting into my body to create the emotions that I feel? Because everything flows out of our diet and what we put into our body. You can't be anything greater than what you are made of. And you're made of those things which we eat, drink, breathe. And so for a person who's really stuck right now in a place where they're dealing with carbohydrates like breads and cookies and cakes and pies and pasta and white rice, white potatoes, and all of these high starch or high carbohydrate foods, it manifests emotionally as a sense of creating anxiety. It makes people a little bit more hyperactive. Doing too much carbohydrates, too much sugar can also bring you to a sugar high, but immediately it brings you into a depression where you get depressed after the sugar, as your blood sugar
Mhm.
falls down. Because as blood sugars rise, you can be excited. When our blood sugar falls, we can become depressed or down. That's why some people, when they get down or depressed, they want to eat chocolate cake or eat ice cream because that sugar
Mhm.
will give you a sugar high and you'll feel a little better short term.
Mhm.
Not to mention you're going to gain 5 or 10 pounds every time we go through these cycles. So that's the physiological part of an emotional balance, that you can control emotions by really controlling what you eat, eating more fiber, eating more fresh vegetables with high fiber vegetables, leafy green vegetables, very colorful vegetables, eating beans as a good protein source. When we eat more beans and nuts and high fiber foods, it tends to balance our blood sugar. It doesn't let your sugar go through these
Mhm.
highs, ups and downs, which creates a even worse cycle. So, so we can look at our diet to change that part. The
Mhm.
physiological part is sometimes we're in environments, whether it's a work environment. I mean, the environmental part is sometimes we're in a work environment or we're in a home environment that may be toxic to us. It may have been okay in the first place, but things have changed. Like people see so many changes in their life in the pandemic, and the pandemic brought a lot of these things to the forefront. That we were working jobs and we were doing things, and then for almost 18 to 24 months, we couldn't do those things. And then
Yes.
when the time came for people to go back to work, to their jobs, what did they say? No, I'm not going back. I'd rather work from home, or I'd rather find something else to do. I'm going to seek my passion, because it gave you a break from and pulls you out of the environment you're in and let you step back and look at what you were going through, because you're
Mhm.
living a life that's high under stress. You're getting on the freeway every morning at 5:30, trying to get to work by 7:30. 2 hours of traffic, going in and out, and then 2 hours of traffic in the evening. So this just the stress in that part alone. And then being in that work environment was very, very, very difficult for people.
Right.
So making a change in your environment, whether it's to say that I want to really take a new lifestyle.
Yes.
I heard you talking earlier about downsizing.
Yes.
Downsizing is one way to do that, because you're really decluttering your life, but it declutters your responsibilities. It takes a lot of things
Yes.
away when you have to be concerned about so many things. So, those are steps we have to really focus on, is really looking at our overall nutrition and diet, and also looking at overall environment and lifestyle and the
Mhm.
toxicities in their lifestyle. So if you have a roommate that you're not getting along with, or it's toxic, you need to it's time to get a new you in 2023. It's time to change that. If you have a boss that you're not getting along with, and you stay there because you think you need the money, but your health is taking a hit because it's so stressful. Whether it's a spouse, whether it's the children, your grandchildren. We love our family members, but
Mhm.
we have to love them from afar sometimes. So we have to
Yes.
really consider those
That's
things.
right. That's right. They call that adjustment and readjustment. So in time. So
Yes.
it is that you have to trust. um I call it creating. What you're describing seems to be creating, even when you're looking at your diet and what you're going to decide to do. If you have intention, you're creating intention with yourself in the moment. Because if you create intention, even as if it's at work because someone else is making a comment about it, or someone else, you're not with yourself necessarily. But when you make an agreement with yourself in the moment in time, then it is that you create, I call it, space parameters for your mind and your spirit, you see. To follow up.
Yes. And the biggest problem I see with most people is that it's a fear of the change. Can I, if I say, we're going to eat a plant-based diet, and the biggest fear is, well, I don't know if I can go without eating meat, or I can know if I can go without eating bread. People fear the change is going to come, and they already you talking yourself out of it. Or even when it comes to a job or making a lifestyle change, whether it's downsizing, whether it's moving to a new city, whether it's moving to a new area of town. People have an
Mm-hmm.
anxiety because the change is always creates anxiety, but you have to accept the fact that change is going to come and be intentional about making a change. Well, I intend to make a change. I want something to be different. I want it to be new. I want to
Mm-hmm.
explore. I want to open my life up to these new things. And I know for some people that's seems very normal. For other people, you have to really do the preparation psychologically and physiologically to make that happen.
Mm-hmm. And change takes a little time. But what I'm realizing as you're speaking, there are a lot of different changes. And then when you'll have to like um begin to adjust a frame of thinking. There was
Yes.
someone that said, you said this. So when you get ready to do something, you have to ask yourself the question, what is it that you're going to do that's going to benefit you and benefit your body? So not only what you eat, but the environment that you're in. You say, ask the question at that moment, is this going to benefit me, my mind, my body, my spirit, especially my wellness, from a wellness perspective, a healing perspective? And then when you look at it, if the answer is no, then you have to ask, am I prioritizing me? Because you must be prioritizing someone else if the answer is no. And so I think that that is something that we should ask our audience to begin asking themselves while they're making a change. Is this something that's going to benefit me and my loved ones? Is this going to benefit my health and my welfare? You see? And then if
Yes.
it is not, then I have to ask, am I prioritizing the right things? Am I prioritizing me? Hmm. So I'm putting that in our
That's so
checklist.
important. Yeah,
Hmm.
and it's so important. I have to emphasize that again because people don't, they kind of overlook themselves. And it's not, people may think, well, I got to help somebody else. I got to do this. Well, you can, but you have to, number one, like we say, we'll get on an airplane, you got to put your oxygen mask on first. You have to really take care of yourself because you can't take care of anybody else if you're not healthy. You can't be a benefit or an asset to anyone else until you're healthy yourself. And you always want to do that. And I
Hmm.
think, when we talk about health and wellness, it's so important today because we see that, you know, people, human beings, the planet, everything is under attack right now. With when
Yes.
we talk about global warming
Hmm.
and things that
Hmm.
are going on in the world that are toxic, and then with the pandemics and the tandemics and the viral infections. They call it a
Mm.
tridemic. So you got three things going on, and it's
Hmm.
probably 50 different demics going on that affecting some people's lives and affecting other people's lives. You
Uh,
hear about I really get sad about the stories of the poverty that's going on in Africa in some countries where people are really literally starving today. And
yes.
we're complaining about so many what I call minor things, but people are actually starving, have no food or no water to drink, and that's what we really have to focus on. How can we make a change or consider things other than ourselves? But we have to take care of ourselves first, and then we can
Hmm.
move forward to help other people.
That's right. And I guess maybe looking at, you mentioned experience before, or coming from going to something, maybe then secondly or thirdly, identifying those things that have entrapped us, those things that keep us not moving. I call them getting us stuck. What are those things? If you're being intentional, and especially I'm thinking right now about eating. I'm thinking about, one of the things that I'm thinking about is that when I socialize with certain people, and you can do it one time, but what happens is the longer you're around those persons and they're eating a certain way. I'm gonna give an example. When I moved back to Houston, I did not eat meat, for example. Okay, so I had not had. We would have shrimp every now and then, some meat, but we would have mostly fish, tilapia, seafood, stir fry, and those kinds of things when I was living on the East Coast. And not a whole lot of meat. We didn't do barbecue. We didn't do all that. But as soon as I moved back to Texas, gradually, you would taste a little of this, taste a little of this, and everybody around you were eating it. And so gradually, I know I found myself then eating more meat. You see, just all. I think all those years I did not. So, and then making certain decisions about milk or different things like that gradually. So so
Yes.
now what I do now that I recognize it is when I go out, I pay attention to who I eat out with.
Yes, that's a key factor right there because you really have to create the community and stay in a community that is eats like you eat or does the same things you do. Because otherwise,
You
you
know,
will be in a
we did
situation
good with
where
the ice cream this past week. So we got rid of the ice cream because I accidentally bought them
um,
and I only and so we
yeah,
bought some
it's,
non-dairy. Yes.
yes. So and I say that because um, Dr. Pamela and myself, we make a commitment on what we're going to eat, what we're not going to eat, and so it makes it a little bit easier. You have to find community of people who eat what you eat, because
That's right.
if I go some of my other relatives and friends, especially during the holidays, if they invite us over, everybody gets all paranoid. Oh, Dr. Atkins is coming on, Floyd and Pamela coming over. We can't eat what we want to eat.
Right,
And I'm
right,
saying,
right.
no,
Put
it's
it
not.
away. Put it away.
Right. And I kept saying, no, you can eat whatever you want to eat. And I even had one of my aunts who's much older. She just turned 90. At the last family reunion, she says, well, I know y'all gonna prepare food at the family reunion, but y'all gonna prepare something else that we can eat also. And so, but you have to so people are interested in it, but they don't want to make that change. So
Right.
if you're not happy with your blood pressure, if you're not happy with your weight, if you're not happy with your blood sugar levels, if you're not happy with the level of pain that you experience every day, you have to say, what do I need to do to make that change? And the
Yes.
intention is doing the research and finding out. You just can't go to your doctor and say, well, I'm having this problem, because he has only one solution, and that solution is a pill, number one. Or number two, he'll refer you to a specialist. And then number two, it'll be chemotherapy, radiation, and surgery. It'll be
Yes.
surgery, chemotherapy, radiation. There's those three things. So it's not a lot of options. They don't really talk to you about, well, if you do this diet change or you get on this detox program or you do this, we can make
Mhm.
these changes in your body from a more holistic or natural standpoint, rather than just trying to medicate your symptoms.
So I saw this one guy which was thinking conceptually. So he drew a graph on a board and he said from 0 to 100. And he said when you feel pain, you're pretty much, I think he said, at 50%. When you go to the doctor,
Yes.
then it's less than that. So you can imagine then what happens is the doctor already knows when you come in and say that you're having pain that you must then take a medication because you're less than 50%. And so you take the drugs in order to increase or decrease the pain, but not looking at the health of what you really need to do to put into your body to reach the 100% or the 90%, you see.
Right.
And so graphically that
So
was helpful.
yeah, it illustrates putting a band-aid on the problem or medicating a symptom, and you never really say, why do I have the pain? And let's eliminate the cause or the source, and that way you eliminate the problem. I guess recently they've done research, especially in Germany, when we talk about diabetes, because diabetes is a big topic right now because it's becoming a worldwide epidemic. And
Mm-hmm.
they were talking about how they have medications, they have medication and insulin medications, things to control your blood sugar levels, and they're
Mm-hmm.
finding out that doctors will give patients the metformin or medication, but they found that the more medication a person took, the less control they had over their diabetes. It got worse instead of getting better.
Mm-hmm.
And they found out and then the longer you take it, the worse your diabetes get. It causes so many other problems like cardiovascular problems that they didn't
Yes.
realize. But that's because the goal in those medications is to bring down your blood sugar levels, but it doesn't change in your body what's going on, what's destroying your body that's causing the diabetes. And one researcher in Germany found out that it was body fat that's around your pancreas. The more fat you have around your pancreas in your abdomen, called central obesity, the less insulin that your pancreas produce. When you reduce your body fat in your abdomen around your pancreas, your insulin levels go up, and your diabetes gets better. So, and what they were doing was just giving you medication to bring down your sugar levels, but your pancreas was still under stress. It was still getting worse because it was producing less and less insulin. So you can never get off the medication, because you did, you'd be in serious trouble.
Hmm.
And so it's the things that we do that we take for granted, or we don't really investigate ourselves. And what we want everybody to do on Mending Threads is to look at your own health. You know, you should partner with your doctor to say, what do I need to do differently, or what changes can I
Right.
make, and work it as a team on it, rather than saying just going to the doctor and lay yourself on the table and say, just fix me or give me what I need. But
Hmm.
he's going to give you what he has. He may not give you what you need, but he'll give you what he has.
Right.
And he's doing it because that's the best thing they have to work with. You know, we go to medical school, we're
Hmm.
trained in techniques, we're trained in pharmacology, we're trained in surgery, we're trained in these things. So these are the tools we have to offer. But unfortunately and sadly, we're not trained in nutrition. We're not trained in wellness lifestyle. We're not
Hmm.
trained
Hmm.
in emotional mind body control, emotional well being. You know, doing yoga, doing tai chi, doing the things, doing meditation, doing things that really relax your mind and can put you in a place that your body can respond. So,
Hmm.
we want to really focus on those things, and realize that there's another avenue. I don't put down medicine because I grew up in that community, but I said that's not the whole picture, and you have to find out what is
Right.
working for you.
To balance the work for us. So what I wanted to ask, you mentioned insulin, you mentioned sugar and everything. What is your take on herbs to actually decrease that? Because they're advertising a lot of stuff on TV, like what is this Golo? I know that has to be. They said it's not a drug, but I don't know. I have to get and see what it is. But what is your take on those things that drop your craving or drop your weight?
Um, the only true and natural and safe way to drop your weight is by making that diet and lifestyle change.
Right.
Because you can take the supplements, and so I did see something about Golo, but I have to investigate exactly what it does. But what my concern is when TV advertises to take a medication or take a herbal supplement, they treat an herbal supplement as if it was a pharmaceutical. They use it as a band-aid for a problem. They'll have herbs like the bitter melon. They have herbs like red
Yes.
red rice yeast, which controls cholesterol. Bitter melon
Mhm.
and cinnamon tends to control blood sugar levels. There are certain herbs you can use for those things. But the problem is not the blood sugar level. The problem is what we're eating. It's how we're eating. But I want to see those same people educate people on cut back on the carbohydrates. Have one meal a day, or have if you cardiovascular disease or cholesterol, you got to have a meatless meal. You got to cut that
Yes.
animal product. You got to cut some of those carbohydrates. And so if you
Mhm.
tell people this, their life would change within days. They'll see a difference. But when you do that, you can't sell a product, because the product, you'll see again that the product is not the solution. So although
Mhm.
they may say it's natural and it's healthy and all of that, it's
Mhm.
still putting a band-aid on an actual problem. So you want to get to the underlying cause. You never can be more. When we say you are what you eat, you can never be more than what you eat. So if you're
Right.
eating poorly and you're not eating balanced diet, you're going to be out of balance, and you're going to be poor in health. So you want to
Mhm.
eat a balanced diet to maintain balance, and you
Mhm.
want to eat good healthy diet to maintain good health.
Right.
That makes sense. That
Yes, it does. And look, I'm so excited. I want you to just talk a little bit about, so then what we're doing this coming year, and the educational webinars and things like that, is really, as I'm spreading the news to people, is really not only to educate us, but to help us know when and how to use what for our bodies, how to eat food. They call it, we started off over there at with the food is medicine on Judson Robinson, and I think you and Dr. Pam did the cooking and explanation as to how food was medicine. Okay, and I can't think what year that was. Must be 2007 or 8. I don't know, somewhere
Oh
back
yes,
there.
yeah,
Yes, if you
that was a
remember,
few years
yes.
ago.
Uh-huh, that's right, quite a few years ago. And one of the things is that many of the people that were in there, including myself, I did lose a lot of weight during that time. I don't ask me how I got it back, but I do know how I got it back. But so many people said that that was the most informative seminar, that they said we had done many things before. We had
Mhm.
talked, right, workshops. We had talked, but somehow that one, we actually not only tasted everything, but we were able to discuss what was in the ingredients in each item affected what part of our bodies and how. And I really ran across some of those notes that the people sent, and that let me know that we need to do some of that coming up in 2023. And instead of doing a whole lot of new people, take what we have made success, what was successful, and integrate it. Mhm.
Yes. And I think the reason it was a show and tell, number one, where people can actually see it, they can taste it, and you can tell them rather because people don't feel like when they want to make a lifestyle change, it's like throwing a person into the ocean without a boat or without a paddle. They don't know which
Yes,
way to go or how to steer it. They don't know what to do. But when you get on the boat with them and you say, "Here's a paddle, here's an oar. This is what we're going to do first. This is what we're going to do second. We're going to turn the boat. We're going to do these things." It really helps people. And we find that out in our practice too. That's why we in our practice take so much time doing education or working with people. It's more like coaching because once you do that, it becomes permanent with the person. It's not something that they can forget or because they actually learn to do it themselves. It's like the Bible
yes,
says, teach a man to fish and he'll never go hungry. But if you just give him fish, then he's going to be, always dependent on you.
right.
So I think that works. If we have enough time, I can share a couple of slides with you
Yes,
about
please
New
do.
You
Mhm.
in 2023 that,
Okay,
that
then.
people can use as a guideline to know what to do because I want to hopefully have them. Can you see my screen?
No.
Hello, Dr. Lewis.
Yeah, I can hear you, but I don't see your screen.
You don't see anything.
No.
You see me?
I do. I see you. Hmm.
Okay, let me try to restart again.
So this is exciting. So while you're working on that, I'll
You
just
see anything
share.
now?
No, I don't see the screen now. Hmm.
I'm going to do screen share again. Present, share screen.
And I know that we needed to do some some cleaning of the toxicity in our bodies.
Uh-huh.
I'm just talking while you're doing that, and I'm calling the producer. Does he need to have you share?
You should be able to see my opening slide right now. I don't know if you can.
Mhm. So one of the things that I did is I followed your direction, um,
Mm-hmm.
and I went and got all of my tests.
Uh-huh. Mm. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, your mute's on. Okay.
Hmm.
Um, you should be able to see my screen now. You still don't see anything.
No, I did ask him to give you share screen privilege.
Okay.
So I found this year that some of my numbers were to the right, to the left. Now I'm beginning to see you. Yes,
Oh,
very
okay.
good.
I guess that was
Hmm.
it. Okay. Well, let's look at why some of the numbers are where they are. This is
Okay.
this is only about 10 slides I'm gonna go through here.
Okay.
A new me in 2023. I try to rhyme every time because I'm a poet and I know it. So
Okay
hopefully
then.
people can
Mm-hmm.
share this. But you know, when we talk about it, you know, the bottom line of all chronic illness and chronic disease goes back to obesity, and obesity means that I am overweight. Well, actually, overweight when if you're anywhere from 15 to 20 pounds or 25 pounds over your normal weight, we call it overweight. But when people get more than 30 pounds over what their um, weight for this body structure is, we call that obesity. If you're over 30 pounds over where you should be.
Mm-hmm.
So overweight, we want to work with obesity is when we start having chronic problems and chronic conditions.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, it's very popular at the beginning. You go to Weight Watchers and they go to Weight Watchers program. And I always tell people that it's a difference between Weight Watchers and losing weight. Because in Weight Watchers, you know, you record what you eat, record foods that you eat, and you record your weight and you watch your weight, but you have to really be proactive and intentional more than just watching your weight. You want to do things when it comes to exercise, when it comes to making dietary changes that are going to be permanent and not just temporarily. And
Right.
that's when you start seeing losing weight, when you really start going to a plant-based diet or going to uh, 2 meals a day or having a fasting protein shakes or you know really cutting out the high carbohydrates foods and high carbohydrates fruits out of your diet. The
Like
underlying causes here,
being healthy. I
gaining
think
weight,
being healthy at the same time,
same time.
working toward health.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm,
Yeah, absolutely. Healthy is that's the foundation of you have to do it in a healthy way.
mm-hmm,
Gaining weight and the ability to lose weight is a function of body toxicity. So the more people are overweight and the more they tend to gain weight, it does mean there's toxicity going on. And toxicity really starts off with the diet. It depends on what you're eating. You're eating a lot of processed food. Are you eating a lot of foods with artificial chemicals in it, artificial colors, flavors, dyes, and things like that? Are you eating foods that are fried foods? All those things
mm-hmm,
have a toxic buildup. And the more toxic you are, the easier it is to gain weight and the harder it is to lose weight. So the solution becomes to detoxify. I tell people detoxify, don't die. So I'm gonna run over these again. I've done these before, but the 8 most common causes of toxic buildup. Number one is constipation. If you have food going in, it's not coming out, you're gonna become more toxic over time because you're not eliminating the waste products out of your body. Eating a poor
mm-hmm,
diet, that includes eating cooked, devitalized foods, fried foods, a lot of sticky, heavy, sugary foods. All of those things lead to a poor diet. You have an absence of nutrients, essential vitamins, minerals, and nutrients in that kind of diet. Overconsumption really speaks for itself. You know, we made it through Thanksgiving, we made it to Christmas, and New Year's is another day of overconsumption. So eating too
mm-hmm,
much food, eating it too fast causes us to overconsume and we don't process food properly. It can lead to things like leaky gut syndrome and other digestive disorders, gastric reflux, gastritis, irritable bowel syndrome, all these things names we have, which means that I'm overeating and eating too much of the wrong thing. A lack of water. Water is so important because we don't get enough water in our diet when it comes to what we eat, based on what our body needs are. And I have a graphic here that I kind of use to describe what when it comes to water. It says water composes 75% of your brain. So if you're not drinking adequate water, then brain function cannot uh, take place like it needs to. Water regulates your body temperature. Water makes up 83% of your blood. So when people have sluggish circulation or have circulation issues, if they're not drinking adequate water, it's going to be worse. Your blood will be thicker than it needs to be, more prone to clotting and other factors. Water helps to remove waste because when your kidneys are eliminating water properly, it helps remove waste out of your body.
mm-hmm,
Water composes 22% of your bones. So
mm-hmm,
even bone structure, when people have joint pains or inflammation, again, it could go back to a lack of water. It helps cushion your joints, so it takes pressure off your joints.
mm-hmm,
Water helps to carry nutrients to every cell in your body. It moistens your breath, so you know people having dry mouth or not having the right humidity in their lungs. Again, this water is
mm-hmm,
important. Helps convert food to energy, protects and cushion your vital organs, helps your body absorb nutrients. makes up 75% of your muscles. So water is just a key factor when it comes in the health. And so people need to understand that you can't drink coffee, or you can't drink other beverages to replace water. Water stands alone by itself as a lubricating factor. After you drink your half your weight in ounces, or what I call as a guideline, uh, then you can maybe drink some other beverages. With the exception of
Mm-hmm.
tea, since tea is basically water with a herb in it, that can be included as a part of your water intake. But no other beverages like sodas or sweet drinks
Mm-hmm.
or even coffee. I know coffee is mostly water, but coffee itself is a diuretic. It helps drain water out of you. So the more coffee you drink, the more dehydrated you get over time throughout the day.
Mm-hmm.
Four other ways
Mm-hmm.
we become toxic is stress. And you could talk on and on about this yourself, because this is a part of your daily
Mm-hmm.
um uh
And that's a word, Dr. Atkins, that people take for granted. They just take for
yes.
granted, or we just throw that word stress around. We have no idea how deadly and how I mean, we need a little bit of it, okay, but
Yeah.
for most parts, that's a very a word that indicates trouble.
Yeah.
Mm,
And the part we need a little bit of is we call it really acute stress. So, if you need something to motivate you, if the alarm clock goes up in the morning, it's a stressful thing, but it wakes you up and it gets you going for the day. But if you have something that's like an alarm clock going all day, every day, a chronic stress, that's the one that's toxic. It really causes
yes,
us health
yes,
conditions. When you're in
it does.
a bad situation, you're in a bad marriage, you're in a bad relationship, you're dealing with uh, going back and forth with someone going to jail or whatever it may be,
Yes.
or even a health condition, whether somebody's dealing with cancer, dealing with a severe health challenge, is very stressful. And chronic stress is toxic to our bodies. So we have to find a way to manage that. Sometimes we can't
Mm-hmm.
get away from stresses, but learning to manage it is a key factor to controlling our stress. I put
Mm-hmm.
antibiotics on this list because although antibiotics have a benefit when it comes to fighting infections, long term it has very negative consequences on our body. And we've talked about it before, because it not only kills the bad bacteria that is keeping us from being healthy, it kills our good bacteria that also keeps us from being healthy. So we have to find a balance there and know how to use antibiotics effectively, and not how we use it today in our healthcare system. Lack of exercise is a huge factor, because exercise, number one, it if you circulate, you percolate. So if you exercise, your body circulates, you get your blood flowing, you get your endorphins going in your brain, you get so many positive benefits just from exercise. Even if it's just walking, riding a bike, whatever it takes, you can do those things. And finally, when it comes to toxicity, one of the most toxic things we can do is eating late at night. The human body uses sleep to repair, rebuild, and restore itself. But if you put food in the body late at night, it can't do those things, repair, rebuild, and restore, because it's still doing the process of digestion. And so it never gets to, it's like working 24 hours a day and you never get time to go home and rest. Your body never gets time to rest because it's always working, trying to process or digest food. So eating, 10, 11, 12 midnight or into the night and those kind of things, you should intentionally living my intentionally means I have to have a cutoff period when I'm gonna stop eating food. If I want to
Mm-hmm.
eat an apple after a certain period of time, but eating food is going to cause me to interfere with digestion in my sleep is something that I have to make a decision about. So late night eating leads to obesity. Number one, that's the biggest factor, but it also leads to other digestive and functional issues also. Um, and we see that maybe we don't want to be either one of these two people. Free to be me, but you have a ball and chain that's a couch potato, and it's just not a poor lifestyle. And running to the refrigerator, as a way to manage. Again, most of the time people are managing stress when they do this. I would even go as far as saying both of these people are dealing with stress, because one is not motivated to do anything, and the other one is motivated to eat.
Right.
So
Mm-hmm.
again, my most important statement, I want to say it again, is the most important decision we make each and every day of our life is not what job or career we pursue, or even how we manage our finances, but simply what we pick up with our hands and what we put into our mouth.
Mm-hmm.
This daily choice is a key to our quality and our
Mm-hmm.
quantity of life. How long you live, how well you live depends on what you pick up with your hands and put into your mouth. Because
Mm-hmm.
that's the bottom line. Because even if you're eating the right things, you can manage stress that way by eating eating a correct diet. So what do we do not want to do? This is what we don't want to do. We want to fast from processed foods. I mean, we want to stop eating uh, flours. And when I speak of flours, I'm speaking number one of wheat flour, the breads, the pastries, the cakes, the pastas, because they're all carbohydrates. They convert to sugar in your body. They can increase anxiety. Increase inflammation. Sugars, candy, sodas, ice cream, cookies. Again, it's another sugar. It ferments in your body. It creates inflammation, joint inflammation, cardiovascular inflammation, inflammation in your pancreas, inflammation in your liver. Everything gets inflamed with excess sugar. Bad fats, that's the fried foods and the red meat, because the fats are fats that are produce what we call low density lipoproteins or bad cholesterol. And then that affects your cardiovascular health, and also affects things like diabetes, high blood pressure, and autoimmune disorder. No processed foods or fast foods. So if you eat at a place that has a drive-through, you need to
Mm-hmm.
stop that. We need to make that change. I'm not going to eat at a place that has a drive-through window, because that way we know the food is, number one, fast food is not made in a healthy way, and number two, is
Mm-hmm.
processed, is not prepared in a healthy way.
Mm-hmm.
And then if it comes in a can, a box, it comes in a bottle, it comes in plastic cellophane wrap. Those are the things we need to cut it down in our life to a minimal, because those things again are processed foods. Most of them will have artificial colors, artificial flavors, preservatives in them. And those three things alone is enough to make a person toxic over time.
Mm-hmm.
So you're interfering. You have, is it a benefit or is it an asset? Or is it a negative or is it a positive? If you realize that these things that's in your diet are negatives, then we need to eliminate them. So we look at it. You can't say I can't give it up because you sacrificing health for your own personal desires, or for your
And
I like to call it your. Go
if I
ahead.
could share one thing to reinforce so our audience would know something. So when I began transitioning, and a few of in the group that was working with me, when we
Yes.
stopped eating the fast food items, then
Yes.
I'm slowing down because it's echoing. When I stopped, I could smell the oil and I would become ill. Once I stopped eating it and started eating vegetables and cleansed my system, I could smell the oil driving down the street and would make me nauseous. If all of a sudden
Nauseous.
I became sensitive to a lot of other smells.
Yes. Yes. And that's true, and most people don't realize that because they're eating the oil, eating it all the time. But once you fast or you take a break from it and you try to go back to it, you realize, well, this is not agreeing with me because it doesn't
Hmm.
make me feel good. It doesn't enhance my overall well-being. And
Hmm.
so that's one of the first signs we see when people do a detox. Things that they were comfortable with before, it's uncomfortable. It's not appealing to them anymore. The
Hmm.
sugar seems too sweet, salt seems too salty. Um, and that's a good thing because your body is kind of resetting back to where it should be. As far as food being our medicine, we want to make sure we eat a raw diet, 75% raw. And that's vegetables and fruits and organics, and when at all possible. I don't try to eat foods that are not organic, because organics may not be perfect, but you cut down the amount of pesticides, herbicides, fungicides you get on food by 90% or even more. And if you can't get the organic, buy from a local grower like a farmer's market, or a farmer, or go to a place you can get those type of food, because normally local growers can't afford the high cost of purchasing pesticides, or purchasing the chemicals to put on their foods. Eating wild rice, which is not really a starch, or black rice or red rice, or beans, nuts, and seeds are good options. And there's so many dishes you can make from beans. There's so many nuts, a nut loaf, seeds. There are many dishes you can make with seeds. Um, and it may sound simple to you now, but once you start exploring it and do the work, you'll see that it's not so difficult. Drink spring water, purified water as an option, and avoid dairy products whenever possible. Last few things here. when you're setting up for the new year, breakfast is the most important component of a meal plan. It's the most important meal of the day because it regulates your nutrition for the whole day. If you start off eating poorly in the morning, eating sugars and starches, you're going to eat poorly the whole day because your blood sugar is going to be fluctuating up and down all during the day. And you're going to make poor choices because you make choices based on cravings that you're having. You have to, it helps, the breakfast helps you determine how your body's going to handle the food for the rest of the day. So if you start off with something like a low glycemic fruit, whether it's an apple or whether it's a avocado, you can eat avocado or eat hummus or eat something that's high protein, low carbohydrates, you'll feel much better and you won't have those episodes throughout the day. Make sure that your diet includes high fiber. This is decreases the absorption of glucose. So if you are getting sugars in your diet, you want to manage the sugar in your body, and it takes fiber to do that. So that's eating plenty of raw vegetables or lightly sautéed vegetables, and I say 5 to 6 servings a day. The dark greens, the yellows, the oranges, the red. Limit
Mhm.
your fruity snacks. Uh, Apples are okay. Melons, I'm talking about the cantaloupe, blueberry, strawberry, not watermelon, but the
Oh,
green
wow,
melon
boo.
or what's that?
I just said boo. Oh, no watermelon.
Yeah. Including flaxseed in your diet by in form of putting it in your smoothies. Excellent source of omega-3 fatty acids, also a great source of fiber. It's beneficial for cholesterol and it also helps prevent constipation and also decreases breast tumors. There have been research to show that a high
Mhm.
flax diet is important when controlling benign breast tumors. Um, Eliminate processed starches. Processed starches are starch that's been manufactured into something else like macaroni, crackers, cookies, white potatoes, spaghetti, tortillas, bagels, muffins, and chips, and things like that. You want to eliminate those processed starches. So you want to,
Mhm.
eat something in a more natural way. Eat multiple salads during the day. Forget the idea of eating certain foods for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You just want to have 3 meals a day. And 3 meals a day should include salads. It sounds strange to people when we tell people you should have a salad at every meal, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. They look at you at breakfast. Well, forget about the word breakfast and use the word meal. Every meal you should have a salad with something leafy green, something live, something fresh, because it's
Mhm.
a part of your digestive process to have that. Sprinkle
Mhm.
walnuts, high in omega 3s, almonds again, high in omega 3s, high in fiber, and sunflower seeds. Rich sunflower seeds are rich in minerals. You can add avocado and flaxseed as added protein of the avocado, and again added fiber with the
Mhm.
flaxseed. When it comes to dairy, I always encourage people to completely eliminate dairy because dairy wasn't really meant dairy from a cow was really meant for human consumption, although the industry has found a way to incorporate it in our diet. But it has so many negative effects on our body that we don't really consider because they're kind of underlying things. Uh, Most of the dairy products that we get in from commercially raised
Mhm.
animals are the hormones, antibiotics, and pesticides in the food that the animals eat. And
Mhm.
also, dairy itself is very mucus producing when it comes to human being eating cow products and milk products. So we want to choose a plant-based cheese if you would, if you just have to have cheese, an almond cheese or rice cheese. It may seem strange to you at first, but try it and see, don't you feel better when you have that option as a replacement? Limit your grains. So, I used to say the market used to always say do whole grains, like whole grain wheat, 100% whole grain wheat. But we find
Mhm.
out no matter if it's a whole grain wheat or regular wheat, it still has some negative effects on our bodies. So it's better to eat a gluten-free, that's a flour that doesn't have wheat, or gluten-free bread or sprouted bread. And gluten-free breads are like garbanzo flour bread, coconut flour bread, almond flour, um, any of the bean flours, lentil bean flour. There are many different flours you can eat other than a wheat. Eliminate white flour products. It raises blood sugars. It's low in fiber. Uh,
Mhm.
and then when it comes to grains like rice, we want to go with the brown rice or red rice. It has much lower glycemic index than the white rice. And we also have research that shows that brown rice itself has been found to be anti-cancer. But really, the anti-cancer comes from the fact that most of these darker, these heavier rices are have not only low glycemic, but they have a high fiber source, and high fiber is what really
Mhm.
helps stimulate your immune system. Eliminate animal products. Now, I know a lot of people love eating meat and have every reason in the world to eat meat or poultry or fish. But if you want to heal, if you want to bring your body back to an even kill, you really have to eliminate those products because they all have long-term negative effects on our body. It took me a long time to fight this, so I'm not perfect because I still like to eat fish, but I have to live by intention again. So I'm not going to eat the fish. I'm not going to, if I have fish, it's going to be once a year, twice a year. And then the goal is if I'm eating what I need to eat, I really don't even need the fish. And fish is a good source of animal protein, except for the fact that our
Mm.
seas are so toxic right now. There's so many chemicals and
Yes.
PCBs and the chemicals in our water and our waterways, the
Mm.
the oil spills, the chemicals put out by chemical plants, the nuclear
Mm.
waste. There's so many things in the water that we don't consider. The jet fuel,
Mhm.
the dumps that comes from cruise ships and because everything you have 3,000 people on a cruise ship, and when they all eliminate, where does all it go? It goes into the ocean.
Oh,
People don't
wow.
really realize it goes into the ocean. When
Mm.
when when Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine, when they fly on the seas, they find it so it's a high percentage of jet fuel, not only in the oceans in the oceans, but also in some of our lakes and rivers in America because of diesel fuel, fossil fuel.
Mhm.
It's really caused a
Mm.
problem. In the Gulf of Mexico alone, there are over 3,000 oil rigs between Florida and Brownsville, Texas. There are over 3,000 oil rigs just in that one area alone. And if one or two of them have oil spills, the oil doesn't go anywhere. It stays in the water for years. So you can't say, oh, we clean up the coastline, we clean the visible oil where you can't see it. But it's still oil in the water, and the fish are still toxic. So we have to be very intentional. If I was going to eat fish, I would have to go to the North Pole or the South Pole to find fish that I would consider
Mhm.
cleaner than the fish we would get in the Atlantic Ocean or in the Gulf or in other parts of the world. So
Mhm. So
again,
you
do your
when you
research.
say that, you mean you would actually there's certain fish that you would order or buy?
Well, one of the cold water fish is an Alaskan salmon, a wild
Mhm.
caught Alaskan salmon. One of the things, halibut is a cold fish that you find near the Arctic Circle. Codfish you found near the Antarctic down south in Argentina, codfish. So those are the kind of fish that you would eat. The rule of thumb when it comes to eating fish is if the fish is bigger than your hand, you really shouldn't eat it because the bigger the fish, the more toxic it is. So eating tuna, eating shark, eating marlin, eating sea bass is very popular around right now. But the environmental working group did a study and found out that sea bass was one of the most toxic fish that are available today because they are
Mhm.
so have so many chemicals in them they pick up from the sea.
Mhm.
So I recommend patients when they say, "Well, I have sea bass," and please don't eat sea bass because the chemicals, the mercury and the PCBs in sea bass can end up in your body and leads to things like Alzheimer's disease or mental disabilities where you forgetfulness, uh,
Right.
but also senile dementia. People
Yes.
tend to get dementia at a young age, but that's usually a mercury or chemical that settles
Mhm.
into your brain. So you have to be very intentional about that also. If you're going to eat fish, you eat the small fish, the sardines, the
I
mackerels,
see that they're
what we call
letting us know
herring.
that
You're supposed to
they're letting us know our time is up. About mhm.
okay. Last couple of slides here. No fast foods. Try eating before 8 p.m. And number two, drink more water, half your weight in ounces.
Mhm.
Eliminate artificial sweeteners. That's aspartame, NutraSweet, and Splenda. Uh, use natural sweeteners such as new stevia, xylitol, and TheraSweet, and use
Mhm.
fruits to handle your sugar cravings. So that's what I want to say about that, and hopefully that information will help people make better decisions on beginning this new year off. So,
I think so, and so I will be sending you a flyer to send out to people that you may know for the webinar,
mhm,
and
yes,
then I'll talk to you about just coming up with the questions to your webinar so that they can work it out, print it off on the website. Okay, then.
yes,
So I'll talk to you about that. But I just want the audience to know that the things that we talked about today will take real life form. And you will be able to interact, ask questions, and start. your new health
your new
profile for
health profile for
2023.
2023.
Become educated
Become educated
and live it.
and live it. Yes.
Okay. So I want to thank
Okay.
you,
So I want to thank you,
Dr. Atkins, for being here
Dr.
today,
Atkins, for being here today,
and from Center for
and
Wellness and
from Center
Healing.
for Wellness and Healing. Well, thank you for having me. I really have a passion for sharing information because I just know that knowledge is power, and once people have the information, they can make better choices. So hopefully, people can take some of these tips. And Rome wasn't built in a day, but like I said, every day make one small change. Yeah, if you can't make it every day, make one change a week. But start off making a change, one change, and keep adding to that. And before you know it, you'll see your life is different.
That's right. Thank you
That's
so
right.
much.
Thank you so much. All right, thank you.
Go to
Go to
wrc-houston.com.
wrc-houston.com.
Register for our wellness program. There are two webinars that will be held in January. Starting in January, you may register, and that is going to be the wellness program, the health food is medicine program for behavior and physical health, and the other one is going to be understanding culture and history as a motivator for wellness. So we'll see you then, and I'll see your registration on the website. Any questions you have, you may give a personal call. You may give a call to the office at 281 and we'll look forward to hearing from you then. Renew beliefs, rebuild faith, and reconnect families and communities. For it's not the circumstances we meet, it is the manner in which we respond that determines health, happiness, and success. Thank you, and I'll look forward to seeing you next week. Same time, same place, same station, so to speak, God willing.